Yeah, it should be on for you. Yeah. Nah, Beth will take care of it. You can just leave it on.
Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to the regular July meeting of the Oak Ridge City Council. We're glad that you're here with us tonight. We have numerous people that we want to recognize and thank for their participation in several matters. But as we start, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Pastor Robert May of Oak Ridge Family Bible Church. So, Pastor May, if you'll come forward, please, sir, and lead us with the invocation, and then we'll have our NACA students come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody, please stand.
And I asked the Honorable Mayor if I could share a quote before we pray. From one of our presidents, our 28th President, Woodrow Wilson, said, and I quote, "There are a good many problems before the American people today," still seems to be, "and before me as president, but I expect to find the solution to those problems just in the proportion that I am faithful in the study of the Word of God." And in 1752, George Washington created a personal prayer book, and wrote prayers to Almighty God and the most merciful Father. And it is to the same God and Father and Maker of heaven and earth that we will pray now, bowing our heads. Let's pray. Almighty God and most merciful Father, we look to you because we lack wisdom, and often we lack understanding, and we at times lack courage. So I petition you, Lord, on behalf of our honorable mayor, members of the Oak Ridge City Council, the city manager, and staff, give them wisdom and understanding needed to make decisions for the betterment of the families and community we live in, not solely based on the betterment of commerce. Give them the courage to lead with integrity of character. We are a grateful people this evening and want to thank you, Lord, for those who give selflessly in our community. Thank you for Chief Travis Solomon and his team at the Oak Ridge Fire Department, Chief Robin Smith and the officers at the Oak Ridge Police Department, and all EMS workers who serve the people of this beautiful community. May they know they are valued and appreciated. I am your messenger, Lord, and a servant to the people, and I ask you, generous Father, to bless this city council, bless the citizens of Oak Ridge, comfort and strengthen the weak, and may every person honor and respect his neighbor. There are a good many challenges in our city and issues to be resolved before this city council today. But I know and believe this collective body will find the solution to those problems as they yield to your wisdom, counsel, and the study of the Word of God. It is in the name that kings, leaders, and presidents of our nation have bowed their knee to, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. And before the NACA students come up, sir, would you take your cap off? Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
NACA
sir.
students, if you come forward, please. Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And the sponsors. Go ahead. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And why don't Ray Smith, you I think went on this trip. Would you like to say a few words while our great students are up here and tell everybody about the trip?
I sure would.
The other sponsors and people that may have gone, would you all please come up too? Absolutely.
I was honored to be asked to represent the city as we went on this trip with these wonderful folks here and some others that are not here. They had a wonderful time, and they learned, I believe, from the culture that they experienced, and they shared our culture with them. I can't tell you how much I appreciate being asked to do this for the city. It's my honor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Councilman.
Any others? Adults like to say anything? Words?
Just a big thank you. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It's a trip I'll never forget. Appreciate the opportunity to go and the support that you guys provide. Tenfold, I'm also an guys do for us, not just when it comes to trips, but everything else.
Well, we appreciate all of you for going and chaperoning and taking care of some of our best and brightest who are representing us in Japan, our sister city, which is such an important relationship to this city, and it has been for many, many years, and it will be going forward. So we're just very proud of you and so glad you're here. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dotson.
Here.
Councilmember Gleason.
Here.
Mayor Gooch.
Here.
Councilmember Hammond. Here. Councilmember Hensley. Here. Councilmember Hope. Here. Councilmember Smith.
All right, our next item of business are proclamations and public recognitions. Mr. Eric Alt, do you want to talk about and introduce our summer interns?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's always a fun opportunity to come up and introduce our latest crop of interns. We're very excited. We have 12 interns this summer scattered across the city. They're getting all kinds of opportunities to experience what it's like to work in municipal government, and we hope inspire careers in government. And so this is the part where you all get up and come up here. I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves and tell you what department they're working in. So just tell them your name and what department you're working for.
I'm Andrew Gerlach, and I'm an intern for the public library.
Logan Crumpley, Parks and Rec.
Eleanor Valentino, Communications. Rory Emery, Park and Rec.
Irman Sajjad, City Manager's Office.
Kale Williams, Electric Department.
Aubrey Conger, City Manager's Office. Ainsley Russell, HR Department. Caitlin Breen, Parks and Rec. Brooke Solomon, the Legal Department.
Yeah, we're very excited to have all of them. Normally, this is the part where I would say if you're interested in a fall internship, you could visit our website, but we actually just closed that application. But if you're interested in the spring, keep an eye out. We'll be posting that here in a couple of months.
And Eric, tell us how long they're going to be working with us this summer.
Yeah, these interns all started either at the end of May or the beginning of June, and they'll stay on with us through the early August, right up until usually the college semester begins again.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much.
It's a big group. Look at Logan.
Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
We have a proclamation designating July 19th, 2026 as Anderson County Family Justice Center Day.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed. And Joey Collins?
He is here.
Is he here? Come.
Yep.
I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Dotson to present the proclamation.
Well,
First of all, I wanted to say something about the Anderson County Family Justice Center. I actually was there 5 years ago when we put a ribbon on it. And that organization does such a great job in our community. And so many people are served by that I really am thankful, so thankful that the Anderson County Family Justice Center is in the city of Oak Ridge. We went through a transition recently. Joy Collins was with ADFAC for a long time, and they traded up for the Anderson County Family Justice Center, and Joey's done a great job there. And I just would like to thank you for assuming the helm of that organization. Would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to say thank you for the continued support of the city.
Okay. We're going to get a little picture here. Good to see you, Joey.
Always.
Very good.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
Without objection, we're going to move one of the items up in terms of recognition at this point. I'm going to ask our city attorney, Ms. Rackard, if she'd make her report.
Also report on the executive session that we had earlier in case there are individuals in the room that were interested in the Groves Park matter. We did meet earlier today on Groves Park in executive session. And just so that everyone knows about executive sessions, that is a matter where we discuss privileged communications between myself and City Council. There is no deliberation in those meetings. There's no discussion by City Council. It is just an information session by which I communicate some information to them. They can ask me questions and they can provide me with information. So no decisions are made in that meeting. We will be having a subsequent executive session again, most likely in early August. We will be polling City Council to see when they're all available. So we will be doing another one in the next upcoming weeks. So the city attorney's report is up on your screen. It's fairly short because it was intended to be at the end of the meeting, and I know that we like to keep those items fairly brief. That just outlines the number of contracts that were done in FY 2026 by the department. As you can see, I put 358 plus because at the time we were still doing some agreements. Deeds, we did 24 deeds in the fiscal year. The ordinances were 47. Policies were 12. Resolutions were 172. The next slide just outlines the training that was completed by the department. We did do citywide training of the administrative associates on our training reimbursement agreement process and our contract database. Our staff did discuss with the Beer Board training about the ordinances and their permit process and their show cause hearing process. We did do training in conjunction with the city clerk, with the department directors on the agenda process and Granicus and memos and our timelines at the director's retreat. One of our staff attorneys did training with the Planning Commission on their board authority, their open records, open meetings, and ethics. One of our other staff attorneys did training with the new police officer trainees on the city court process. Our paralegal did training with the Public Works Department on the contract process. And then one of our staff attorneys did training with the Utility Business Office on the bankruptcies and the claim process and the different bankruptcy chapters. And then the last slide would just be some of the significant projects that were completed or are still pending. Was the city code transcription process that we did to complete that code update and have it published online and to now be published as self-publication. And then the development projects of Oklo, Orano, R50, and the Wilson Street development, and then the Oaks Committee that was established, and also the Opioid Committee where the city is receiving settlement funds from the opioid settlements. And that concludes that one.
Questions for the city manager? Seeing none, next item of business, Madam Clerk.
The next item under special reports is the City Attorney Evaluation Committee report.
Councilman Gleason.
Thank you, sir. Two things. One,
The city attorney's report there was not part of the evaluation process. That is pure coincidence that it worked out that way. And I get to go next.
for that.
But it's too late for me to change anything. She did a very good job. Second, the city attorney is and just to call this out, is one of 2 employees of the city that falls outside of the rest of city employment. She's a separate employment contract agreement. That agreement requires an annual performance review, as many of us have at our jobs as well, and this is that process. I'd like to start by thanking the other 2 members of council who served on the committee, Mayor Pro Tem Dodson and Councilmember Smith, who devoted a significant amount of time to going through this important process. We had our final meeting on June 17th. We used that time to review council's completed individual performance evaluations of the city attorney and to develop the recommendations to council that are in the resolution here today. We look at 2 main items there, compensation and contract term. The committee reviewed the evaluation forms. We discussed the ratings. We discussed the comments. Summary of those evaluations is part of the package. We noted that the overall evaluations were highly positive. No significant issues or material areas for improvement were identified. We found the attorney continues to provide valuable legal counsel characterized by substantial institutional knowledge, professionalism, and effective management of increasingly complex legal matters. We did recognize opportunities for enhanced strategic engagement and responsiveness as Oak Ridge continues to experience significant growth and development. Following our review, the committee unanimously recommended a 4% salary increase, but did not recommend a contract extension because the current employment agreement extends through January 3rd, 2033, which is when my youngest kid graduates high school, and that feels like a long time from now. So the committee's recommendations were based upon just a couple of key factors. 1, the positive performance evaluations received from council. 2, current benchmark market compensation data for comparable Tennessee municipal attorneys. 3, the city attorney's length of service with the city of Oak Ridge. 4, the increasingly complex legal environment associated with serving as city attorney for Oak Ridge. And last, the significant cost and institutional knowledge considerations associated with replacing this position. This attached resolution amends the city attorney's employment agreement, implements the recommended salary adjustments, recommend approval as an appropriate measure of compensation for the city attorney, as reflected in the evaluations completed by the members of council. And as such, I move for adoption of the resolution.
Moved and seconded. Questions for Mr. Gleason? Anyone? Seeing none, the motion is to approve and will be on the board.
Seven ayes, 0 nays.
And the recommendation is approved. Thank you, Ms. Rackard, for your service.
Thank you.
All right, next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Next item is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? There are none. And the consent agenda is approved unanimously. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under public hearings and first reading of ordinances, we have an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Title 15, titled Motor Vehicles, Traffic, and Parking, to delete City Code Section 15-211, titled Tail Lamp and Stoplight, in its entirety, and substitute therefore a new section with the same title, to update the section for state law compliance regarding the number, condition, and visibility of tail lamps and stoplights on vehicles, to delete City Code Section 15-339, titled Following Fire Apparatus or Driving Near Fire, in its entirety, and substitute therefore a new section titled Following or Parking Near Fire Apparatus or Authorized Emergency Vehicles During Emergencies, for the purpose of defining terms, expanding the types of purposes, and to clarify I cannot even read. Expanding the types of emergency vehicles to not be followed during emergencies for safety purposes, and to clarify language regarding alarms, emergencies, and to amend City Code Section 15-404, titled Traffic Control Signal Legend Generally, subsection 3, titled Red Alone or Stop, by deleting subpart A in its entirety, and substitute therefore a new subpart A to update the section for state law compliance regarding where to stop at intersections and to clarify when motor vehicle operators may turn right on red, and a public hearing is not required.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Solomon, are you presenting this?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir.
All right, so what comments would you like to make?
Yes, good evening. The legal department, excuse me. The legal department periodically reviews the city code, and we were reviewing Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic and Parking, and we found 3 provisions that needed to be updated. The first provision is pertaining to the number of tail lamps and stoplights. The city code requires you to have 1 tail lamp and 1 stoplight. However, the state statute requires you to have 2 tail lamps and 2 stoplights. And it also additionally states that they need to be in good condition and operational. The second provision is following too closely to fire apparatus when the fire department is traveling to alarm. The fire chief requested that we define fire apparatus to match the National Fire Protection Association, and that we add authorized emergency vehicles to the types of vehicles that cannot be followed too closely for the safety of the fire department and for the safety of the public, and to change alarm to emergency because the fire department attends to emergencies, not just fire alarms, and to include language regarding the use of emergencies, lights, and or sirens. The last provision is turning right on red. The city code does not state that turning right on red is permitted. However, the state statute does state that turning right on red is permitted. And we also notice that further modification is needed to add the state law language about stopping at intersections when a clear stop line is marked preceding a crosswalk.
Questions for Ms. Solomon?
Yes, I had several questions on this, and the first one is kind of a trivia question.
Yes.
And that is that in the section on the color on taillights.
Yes.
And we're seeing the current ordinance here. We're not seeing the red line strikeout showing the proposed changes, so that might be helpful to have. But in the current ordinance mentioned that taillights could be amber or red.
Yes, correct.
And this would strike out amber. I'm just curious whether there's some history of having amber taillights that somehow that ended. Some of the car buffs in the council may have thoughts on that, but I just wondered whether it's really practical to say you can't have an amber taillight.
Ms. Rackard?
I don't know. I will tell you, when we looked at this one, we looked to completely change it to how the state law reads, and the state law does just say red.
Okay.
So I did not go back to look and see, did the state law at one time say that you could have amber and now no longer does? But when we were checking it, we looked at it for full state law compliance
Okay.
and made that change.
Are there vehicles that have an amber taillight?
Not that I've ever seen.
Okay.
50-plus years ago.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Well, there is stuff in this ordinance about vehicles over 50 years old, so that's a factor. Okay, and just for clarity, the section on the provision on having 2 working taillights is something that I think it's enforced principally by giving warnings. It's not something that's enforced by giving tickets. And I just wanted to I'm reasonably sure that the ordinance doesn't require ticketing for violation of these sorts of things. I mention that because I know sometimes people get concerned about this kind of regulation because of the fear that they will get fined for.
All of those would be officer discretion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will say, it is one of the things that one of our police officers did ask that we look at, to add the 2. It's one of those that was brought to our attention by a police officer originally. So, but yes, We used to see warnings a lot for those type of vehicle equipment issues. Yeah.
Okay. And my next question has to do with the statements about the interpretations of red lights and yellow lights and so forth. And I think we have there's mention of right arrows and so forth.
Yes.
But I think we have some new types of of vehicle lights in recent years. We have some places where there's a red arrow pointing to the right, which I believe means that it's not available to turn. I don't know whether that means it's prohibited to turn right, or whether it's just like a red light that you have to judge whether it's safe to turn right. And I'm not asking this to be revised
Yes.
to clarify that, but it struck me that that's something that needs some clarification so that we all understand what a red right arrow signifies, whether it whether it prohibits turn on red, or whether it just says stop sign. Don't. So, and the other one that I wondered about, again, just reading this section, that I think we need to look at future, has to do with the yellow left turn arrows that we're seeing increasingly, that they typically turn. There's typically a situation where the light will be red, and then a yellow left turn arrow comes on, and it's not something saying you have 10 seconds to make a turn. It's often something saying if the coast is clear, you can take a left turn at this point. And I don't know the legal definition of those symbols, but I think we need to have some clarification on what they mean. So I raise that not to oppose this proposal, but to say there are some other things we need to get in here.
We can look into that.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Seven ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you.
The ordinance is approved. Next ordinance, Madam Clerk. The next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ordinances for Ms. Williams. Well, there she is. She's already
A light evening.
That's why we put them in that order. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled the zoning ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, section 3.11, titled Home Occupations, by replacing all references to Community Development Department with Planning and Development Department for correctness, by deleting subsection A and substituting therefore a new subsection A to strengthen language allowing staff to deny or revoke a permit for violation of existing codes, as well as allow an applicant to appeal a denial to the Board of Zoning Appeals, by deleting subsection B4 and substituting therefore a new subsection B4 to allow on-premise sales at a home business of products produced within the home with hours of sale limited between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., by inserting a new subsection B5 to allow internet, telephone, and mail order sales, and subsequently renumbering the remaining subsections, and by deleting newly renumbered subsection B7 and substituting therefore a new subsection B7 regarding parking, which remains as is, except to change the 1 vehicle per home occupation limit to only allow on-street parking of 1 vehicle per home occupation. And the official public hearing will happen on second reading.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Ms. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A few months ago, you all spoke at a work session about the possibility of allowing individuals who run businesses out of their homes, which we tend to call home occupations, of allowing those home businesses to sell products from their home, so on-premise sales. The current code does not allow on-premise sales. We had a business who had been doing so and wanted to continue doing so you all spoke about it at a work session. The Planning Commission did the same. What we heard at those meetings was a desire to support small businesses in the community, but also protect neighborhoods where these businesses might exist from any potential negative impacts. So what you see in front of you this evening is an amendment to the home occupation regulations in the zoning ordinance that would do a few things. It would allow on-premise sales, so sales from the home, but limits the sale only to items that were created in the home. So you can't, ship a bunch of things to yourself and resell them. It needs to be something that you make in your home. It limits the hours of on-premise sales from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It also strengthens language around staff's ability to deny or revoke a home occupation permit. So if you're in violation of our code doing on-premise sales, your permit could be revoked. It also clarifies language that if a business owner has a permit denied or revoked, they can go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to appeal that decision. So the business owner also has a path forward. The Planning Commission also added one additional change to the home occupation regulations that was not part of staff's original recommendation, which is a change to the amount of vehicles permitted. Right now, the code limits home occupations to one vehicle associated with that home occupation. New language clarifies that that would only be one vehicle utilizing on-street parking. So then if you had off-street parking, you could potentially have additional vehicles if you could store them on your property. So again, that is the code change that is recommended. The Planning Commission voted 7-1 to recommend approval of this code change at their June meeting, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Questions for Ms. Williams?
Just one quick question, and thank you for the work that you all did on this. It's just a curiosity question. I know you looked at potential customers and things like that, but what about staff? Any limitations on staff, or from a home occupation could just sort of hire as many people as they might want to support the business? Did you all have any discussions on that?
The existing code does have a limitation on staff, which would not change under this. So it's limited to no more than 3 employees, and no more than 1 employee may be a non-resident of the household. So you are limited and would continue to be.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the motion is to amend, and we're on the board. Motion is to approve, I'm sorry.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
And the ordinance is approved on first reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending the zoning map, which is made a part of the zoning ordinance, by changing the zoning district of an approximate 5.47 acre portion of Roane County Tax Map 029, parcel 010.00, from FIR, Federal Industry and Research, to IND2 NIO Industrial District with a nuclear industry overlay. Said portion, more specifically described as parcel ED23, tracts F, G, and H, also known as parcels EM 1.57, 1.57.1, and 1.7.2. And again, public hearing will be held on second reading.
Move to second. Ms. Williams?
This item relates to just under 5.5 acres of property in the Heritage Center Industrial Park that was recently transferred from the Department of Energy to city ownership. The parcels are currently zoned FIR, Federal Industry and Research, and our zoning ordinance instructs us to rezone properties when they transfer out of federal ownership. And so the Planning Commission has unanimously recommended a change in staff as well to IND2 with the nuclear industrial overlay, which matches the rest of the privately owned portions of the Heritage Center Industrial Park.
Questions for Ms. Williams on this one? Seeing none, the motion is to approve on first reading. We're on the board.
What does the little lock mean on the corner? The lock is back. tally on the button on our screen? It doesn't show A or nay.
Aye or nay or abstain.
It's working.
No. All right. Okay. All right, let's do this to keep this moving. Are there any questions? Okay, now we got, what are we doing?
We were 6-7-0 on that. Yeah.
I can just do the plus.
Let's just do the plus then. Mr.
What are we doing, voting again or something?
I think it's just this particular item.
There you go. There you go.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay.
Okay, now
And
we should
the
be
ordinance
fine
is
on the
approved on first reading.
Yeah.
Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, let me go there. It's not wanting to go anywhere. Okay. Which one are we on? D? Okay. Which one's that? Oh, the NI. Sorry, let me go backwards. Okay. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2 titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee by amending the zoning map, which is made a part of the zoning ordinance by changing the zoning district of an approximate 31.11 acre portion of Roane County Tax Map 029 parcel 010.00 from FIR Federal Industry and Research to IND2 NIO Industrial District with a nuclear industry overlay, said portion more specifically described as parcel ED18, tracks B1, B2, and I, also known as parcels EM 1.55.3, EM 1.55.2, and EM 1.55.4, and a public hearing will be held on second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moving and seconded. Ms. Williams?
All right, similar to the last ordinance, this is just over 31 acres of property that have recently transferred from the Department of Energy to city ownership. These properties have been identified as those that could be transferred to Oklo in the future. But again, as they've been transferred, the Planning Commission is instructed to recommend a new zoning district, and Planning Commission, as well as staff, Planning Commission unanimously recommended the IND2 zoning district with the nuclear industrial overlay.
All right, questions, Ms. Williams? Seeing none, we'll see if we can vote again here. Aye. We're on the board.
Ayes 7, 0 noes.
And the ordinance is approved on first reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
Under final adoption of ordinances, we have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled the zoning ordinance of the city of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by amending the zoning map, which is made a part of the ordinance, by changing the zoning district of Anderson County Tax Map 099FB parcels 050.00, 047, 51, 52, 44, 37, 53, 54, 35, and 55, containing approximately 7.29 acres, all located on East Hunter Circle and West Hunter Circle, from R2 Low Density Residential District to R2 MDO Low Density Residential District with a Manhattan District overlay, and a public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Public hearing is required. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Is there any member of the audience wishing to address council during this public hearing? Seeing none, a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Ms. Williams?
All right, so this rezoning is on the site of the former Applewood Apartments, which were demolished in 2018 or 17, I believe. They were recently purchased. The new owners are planning to subdivide the properties to construct single-family homes. They have requested to apply the Manhattan District overlay to their properties with the goal of reducing their setbacks to 5 feet. In staff's opinion, this does meet the intent of the Manhattan District overlay listed in our code and is a good infill opportunity. And Planning Commission also recommended this item unanimously.
Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I supported this last time, and I remember I asked why they hadn't requested why the overlay hadn't been applied before, and I'm not sure we had an answer why. But subsequently, I heard from a citizen who's concerned about this particular development and the application of the overlay. And the concern was that the owner apparently intends to re-subdivide the property, making smaller parcels individually suited for individual, apparently, this is what they thought anyway. Subdividing it to make smaller parcels suitable for basically a house or duplex or something on each parcel. And then they would be looking at the the 5-foot setback on any border of the new lots that they create. And this person was concerned that this was going to create small shoeboxes, in effect, that don't necessarily preserve the character of what the neighborhood would have been if it didn't have Applewood Apartments before. And I have the sense that in some respects that is contrary to the original intent of the Manhattan District overlay, was that parcels in the legacy neighborhoods had odd shapes and difficult situations, creating constraints on development, but typically were on average pretty nice places. You just needed a 5-foot setback on one side, and you might have 30 feet on another side because of the shape of things. And this, in this area, if they're able to re-subdivide and create new boundaries, some of the constraints that the MDO rule was established to help overcome really don't apply. So I'm concerned that there possibly should be another way to allow the developer to make efficient use of the property without giving them the leeway of having a 5-foot setback on every border of every lot. And it might be, it's the sort of thing that sometimes is done with the PUD to control how the land is redivided. I'm not sure what the open space requirement on the R2 zone is. To know just how much space would actually be left on a particular lot if they can minimize the setback on all sides. And so that's a question for staff. Since this says it wouldn't change the density requirements for R2, but I don't know what those density requirements are at the moment.
So a couple things, I suppose, in response to that. The minimum lot size for the R2 district is the same whether the MDO is applied or not, which is 8,000 square feet. And I believe also that you're correct. Everything that the new owner has said is that they do plan to subdivide those properties to construct homes. And the 5-foot setbacks gave them a little bit more flexibility, particularly on the side, for the kind of house plan that they could put there. But they could still subdivide the lots under the current R2 zoning that they have now. The maximum lot coverage, I believe, is 35% either way.
Okay, so there is space left. And presumably there'd be off-street parking?
Yes, they will be required to provide 2 spaces of off-street parking per dwelling unit.
So in summary, well, I'm just trying to understand how this concern applies to that was stated to me, affects this development. But I think that, you know, we'd like to see things that have the unusual, peculiar character of our older neighborhoods, rather than a bunch of boxes that are neatly aligned to fit new lots. And I'm just wondering if we can get a handle on what the developer has in mind. Of course, we can't zone for a specific development, but understanding what we might be looking at, it may help us understand what we're zoning for.
I can say that the property owner has purchased and built on a few land bank lots. I don't have those addresses off the top of my head, but I could provide those where they built other homes in Oak Ridge.
Okay, and that's helpful to know. But I'm just curious to know what other folks think about this.
Mr. Hisley?
Yeah, if, Ms. Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, but the developer did say that he plans to build single-family homes of about 2,000 square feet, I believe, in a planning commission meeting.
I believe so, and that they would be two-story to accomplish that, I believe.
That's the intended use, so, thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Williams? The motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Seven ayes, 0 noes.
And the ordinance is adopted on second and final reading. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
We have an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2, titled The Zoning Ordinance of the City of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, by deleting subsection E, titled Area, Height, Bulk, and Placement Regulations, and substituting therefore a new subsection E of the same title in section 8.01, titled IND1 Industrial Districts, section 8.02, titled IND2 Industrial Districts, and section 8.03, titled IND3 Industrial Districts, for the purpose of requiring 0 lot line setbacks for adjoining industrial parcels to be a Board of Zoning Appeals variance request, and to require BCA to determine building placement is compatible with existing site development and uses, and a public hearing is required.
Moved and seconded. Have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. There are none opposed. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address council during this public hearing? Seeing none, motion to close the public hearing. Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right. Ms. Williams?
All right, this is a zoning ordinance text amendment. It's been sort of there and back again, but ultimately what it accomplishes is allows business properties in IND1, IND2, and IND3 that border those same zoning districts to have side and rear setbacks reduced to 0 feet by the Board of Zoning Appeals if the development is compatible with what surrounds and can meet building and fire code requirements.
Questions for Ms. Williams? Oh, go. Any questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve on second and final reading.
Six ayes, 0 noes.
And it is adopted, and let the record reflect that Councilman Hammond had to leave to take an emergency telephone call. We'll go on to the next order of business, Madam Clerk.
Okay, under resolutions, we have a resolution awarding a contract to First Place Finish Incorporated, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, for improvements to 3 city-owned parking lots serving Oak Ridge Housing Authority sites utilizing CDBG grant funds in an amount not to exceed $206,285.10.
Moved and seconded. We don't have a hearing on this one, do we?
No, sir.
Okay, Ms. Williams.
Right, so I think you all are aware that the city receives annually federal community development block grant funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This contract would allow us to spend our 2025 funds. The project is to do accessibility improvements at city-owned parking lots at 3 Oak Ridge Housing Authority sites at Joel Lane, Honeysuckle Lane, and Van Hicks Road. We opened bids for this project At the end of June, we had 2 bidders, with first place finish being the low bidder. And this item would authorize us to enter into a contract with first place finish. The project is 100% funded by those community development block grant funds, and it includes a 5% contingency. This item was reviewed at Budget and Finance on July 2nd and was favorably received.
Questions for Ms. Williams? We're on the board. Motion is to approve.
Six ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the approval of Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, substantial amendments to the city's 3-year consolidated plan for 2023 through 2025 and the annual action plan for program year 2024, PY 2024, and a public hearing is required on this one.
Second.
Moved and seconded, motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, keep saying aye. Aye. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone wishing to speak to council during the public hearing on this matter? Seeing none, motion to close. Moved and seconded, all those in favor, keep saying aye. Aye. All right, Ms. Williams, back to you.
All right, so the item that we just finished was for our 2025 Community Development Block Grant Funds. This item is related to our 2024 Community Development Block Grant Funds, and the item would approve changes to the HUD planning documents that the city is required to submit each year about how we are going to use our funds. The amendment in this case would allow us to use our remaining 2024 money and our 2026 money to complete a sidewalk project on Highland Avenue and then on West Outer Drive to the east and west of Highland Avenue, which includes replacing the sidewalks in front of the Children's Museum. So this amendment would essentially establish that project in our planning documents for HUD, as we're required to do by federal law. This item also went to Budget and Finance in July and was favorably received.
Any questions for Ms. Williams on this item? Seeing none, the motion is to approve. We're on the board.
Six ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the city to apply for and accept if awarded a school resource officer program grant from the State of Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to fund the cost of placing a school resource officer in 8 schools in Oak Ridge.
Vote for approval.
Moved and seconded. Chief Smith.
This resolution authorizes the police department to apply for the FY27 statewide school resource officer grant. Since its implementation in 2023, the program has helped law enforcement agencies place certified school resource officers in public schools across the state. Oak Ridge is eligible to receive up to $75,000 per school for each of our 8 eligible schools. The department intends to apply for funding all 8 positions and expects to receive approximately $600,000 if awarded at the maximum level. Grant funds may be used for costs directly associated with the SRO program, including salaries, benefits, training, and equipment. No local funding match is required. The state has also advised that eligible expenses may be reimbursed retroactively to July 1. It's important to note that the grant funds only the 8 school-based SRO positions. The department maintains 4 additional positions within the school services unit that supports the overall program. That includes a lieutenant, a sergeant, an officer at the preschool, and a floating officer that's relief. These positions are funded through the department's FY27 general fund budget, and this is why this matters. The school resource officer program remains one of the department's most important community partnerships. This grant helps offset the cost of maintaining a trained school resource officer in every public school while supporting school safety and strengthening relationships between law enforcement, students, families, and school personnel.
Questions for Chief Smith? Mr. Dodson?
Chief Smith, go on record as thoroughly supporting this program since its inception. I know at one time we only had 1 school resource officer, And then we were able to have a few, but with regards to the grants, I'm glad that came through, and now we have one in each one of our schools. And this is not a reactive, but a proactive approach to school safety. And those resource officers are more than just officers wearing a badge. Those are people who teach the importance of being safe, and they watch over our staff and students. So we're just very thankful for the program, and thank you and your officers for everything that you continue to do for the city of Oak Ridge and our schools.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Hope? Oh, Mr. Hensley, I'm sorry, Mr. Hensley.
I want to go back to before I was on council in 2001 for 9/11. I was working for Oak Ridge Tool at the corner of Lafayette and Emory Valley. And the first thing I did was, when my son was at Jefferson, was to head to the school. And nothing made me feel better than Officer Painter in the lobby in his car out front. So I can tell you, as just a parent at that time, how incredibly valuable that is to parents.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions for Chief Smith? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board. Thank you, Chief Smith.
Thank you.
6 ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending Resolution 5-63-2026, authorizing the purchase of 2 40 MVA power transformers from Virginia Transformer Corporation, Roanoke, Virginia, to add 3 additional 40 MVA power transformers at an additional cost of $7,473,443 for a total of 5 transformers at a new not to exceed total of $12,072,500.
Moved and seconded, and I might say, on this item and the next 3 related to the electric department, these have been reviewed, correct, Chairman Smith, and approved by the Budget and Finance Committee, and that's important for everybody to know. Mr. Bayh, you're recognized.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You may recall that back in May 11 of 2026, Council approved the purchase of 2 40 MVA transformers for the proposed Orano substation. Since then, we've been in discussion with TriSol-X, and their project has advanced significantly to a point where we think within the next 3 weeks, we may be able to execute a construction agreement. And they're also going to need a substation, which will need, instead of 2, but 3 transformers that will be identical to the ones that are planned for the Orano substation. In order to streamline the procurement process, we've reached out to Virginia Transformers and asked them that if we could multiply that number, add 3 more to that same potential order, and they have agreed to that for an additional cost of $7,473,443, which would make the total amount for 5 transformers for $12,072,500. Now, with all that said, there will be no purchase orders that would be issued to that company, to the manufacturer, until we have an executed construction agreement with each industrial customer. This has been presented to the last Budget and Finance Committee meeting and was favorably received.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Yeah, and I'd comment that we were assured at that meeting that these transformers are valuable, not just to us. And it takes, given the difficulty in the supply chain, the number of years that it takes to get these things, and the value they have for different purposes, the expectation is that if for some reason we take delivery on a transformer or have it under contract and discover that there's no need for it, we should be able to sell it to somebody else. This is not stuff that we're going to be stuck with. It's got significant commercial value, and I think Mr. Bayh can explain that further. But that was one of the reasons the Budget and Finance Committee felt okay with this proposal. We're not committing $12 million for something that will be potentially useless for us. This is very, very well very well evaluated procurement.
You're absolutely correct. And even if, with even the other potential industrial customers we may have, they would also be very valuable to them, beside the fact that other utilities would be very interested in them if it came down to that.
Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Ball, we actually got some transformers from TVA that were excess, and not part of this, but for simplicity here for the public, what percentage of this cost is going to be paid by the industries that they serve?
The percentage of the cost for...
For the transformers?
These transformers would be solely dedicated to those industrial customers that are interested in them.
And they will pay for them?
That is correct, through a construction agreement that
Yeah.
would be executed prior to issuing prior to issuing purchase orders.
Thank you.
Other questions? Madam Clerk, who made the motion? Okay. All right, any other questions for Mr. Bile on this matter? Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Six ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding a contract to Dark Horse Vegetation Management LLC, Sunbright, Tennessee, for the Electric Department's vegetation management services for fiscal year 2027 and fiscal year 2028 in an amount not to exceed $2,584,832.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Bye.
Mayor and council, back in 2025, you may recall that the city completed a competitive procurement process for 1 year, at the end of which Dark Horse Vegetation Management LLC was awarded the contract for 1 year. Since then, they have successfully performed the electric department's vegetation management activities and has demonstrated the ability to meet the city's expectation on safety, reliability, and quality. And earlier this spring, the electric department has initiated a procurement process for another vegetation management contract for, instead of 1 year, but 2 years. And a pre-bid meeting was held with interested contractors to review the project scope, contract requirement, and city's service delivery. During the pre-bid meeting, 2 prospective contractors attended and to talk about the requirements. Of those 2, once the bids were put out in public for bid, we only received 1 successful bidder. And once that did happen, we contacted the second contractor that was at the pre-bid, and we asked them why they did not bid. And their response was that their current services capabilities did not fully align with the city's specific requirements. That's why they did not bid.
All right.
And the way the proposed contract, the contract as proposed is divided in 2 components. The first component is the zone work, and the second component is the hourly work. The zone work consists of routine vegetation management, and this work essentially is for maintaining required clearances around the conductors. And the zone work is, the city is divided in 2 zones. Zone 1, which is located in the west side of North and South Illinois, and Zone 2 is on the east side of North and South Illinois. The city's electric, for the zone work, the bid came back to be, the cost for that bid, or for a 2-year cycle, is $1,284,832. The second component of this contract is what we call an hourly work. So this gives the city the flexibility necessary to address vegetation-related issues such as hazardous trees removal, vegetation-related reliability issues, storm response, and emergency restoration activities involving tree limbs and trees and tree limbs that impact the electrical infrastructure. And in the abstract that you have, you will see that one of them is for zone work, the second one is for hourly work. The hourly portion of the hourly amount that you see there includes a section for the equipment, the other section for the labor. Had we had several bidders, those amount would be totaled up and times 40 times 52 weeks, and the bottom line number would be what would have been compared to the other bidders and added to the zone work, and the bottom line number would be what we would be comparing the bids with. Based on the historical usage for the last 12 months, we do believe, and the necessary work that will be required under hourly work, we believe that we will need $1,300,000 will be required for the hourly work. The importance of this flexibility work was demonstrated when we were having recurring outages due to trees and tree limbs around the Montana and West Outer area around the February, March timeframe. Once we kept receiving complaints in that area, we leveraged the hourly work crews to go in that area to perform some enhanced vegetation management over there. And that has yielded some positive result because despite all the storms and rains that have been happening within the last 2 to 3 months, we have not received a documented outage in that area, including the weekend before 2 weekends ago. So the total estimated between hourly and zone work totaled to $2,584,832. For comparison, the last time we had a renewal for a 2-year contract 5 years ago, which was in 2021, that amount was $2,529,000. And within a 5-year span, the difference between the one from 2021 and this one here is about is almost $56,000. Despite the increase in labor and material within 5 years, the difference, relatively speaking, was only about $60,000. So Dark Horse has been working for the city of Oak Ridge for the last year, and they have performed to our expectations. We also know that they have contracts with other utilities comparable in size to us or in more rural areas or much bigger than us. And we have called those utilities and have positive feedbacks from them. This item was taken to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting and received a favorable recommendation. I'll try to answer any questions you may have, and I know the CEO of the company is also here behind me and is ready to answer any questions you might have.
All right, any questions for Mr. Bai? Pretty complete report. Seeing none, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Six ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Next resolution, Mr. Bai.
Mayor and Council, this item
I'm
is...
sorry, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. A resolution authorizing the purchase of 1 bucket truck and 1 digger derrick from Altech Industries Incorporated, Birmingham, Alabama, for use by the Electric Department utilizing the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative for a total amount not to exceed $483,479.
Move for approval.
Second.
Move to second. Now, Mr. Bai.
Mayor and Council, this item is for the purchase of 2 vehicles that have exceeded their useful life and are critical to our daily operations. The first one is going to be a bucket truck, the first one will be a 47-foot digger derrick that we would like to purchase from Altech at a cost of about $282,935. It would be replacing a 2001 International Chassis 4700T 44E, which is another basically line truck. It has approximately a little less than 44,000 miles and about 6,500 hours. The second one that we would like to purchase is a bucket truck, which is a 41-foot bucket truck. And it's also an Altech truck at a cost of about $200,000, $544,000. It would be replacing a 2003 Freightliner bucket truck, which is a 35-foot bucket truck. The equipment shop has evaluated both of these equipment and has recommended that it would be best to go ahead and replace them. This also went through the Budget and Finance Committee, and we received a favorable recommendation, and we would be getting these from Sourcewell, which is similar to a state contract, which has a big, pretty big amount of purchases that we can get, that have been already bid, that we can purchase from.
Questions for Mr. Vai? Not, the motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Six ayes, no nos.
And the resolution is approved. Your last item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution awarding the purchase of three-phase pad-mounted transformers from Gresco Utility Supply, Nashville, Tennessee, in an amount not to exceed $425,868.
Second.
Mr. Vai.
Mayor and council, the electric department uses a various, uses distribution transformers of various sizes, much smaller than the one from the substation. These would be, for example, the one we use are residential, smart commercials, and industrial, for industrial customers. The ones we're trying to order are three-phase pad-mounted transformers, and they're serves commercial and industrial customers. These customers would be similar to the Methodist Medical Center or Manufacturing Science, and some of them would be placed as spares, and more than half of them would be dedicated to prospective customers such as Kairos or the National Security Prototype Center. Once they got out for bids, we came back, and we would like to award this to this company for an amount of $425,868. And the bigger transformers, the developers will participate in funding these purchases through future industrial policies that we are planning on bringing in front of council, next council meeting in August. And this was also presented to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting and was favorably received.
Questions for Mr. Vai?
Mr. Vai?
Yes, sir.
Do these have the same type of long plan as far as like the ones originally approved earlier this meeting? I mean, is the wait time just as long on these particular transformers as they are on the big mega transformers?
Fortunately, no. Back when the COVID era, they were beyond a year, but here lately, we've got them lead time coming back to about 16 weeks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not, the motion is to approve. On the board.
Six ayes, zero nos.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you, Mr. Vai. Next item of business, Madam Clerk.
A resolution supporting the city manager's request for a technical correction to the FY 2024 Environmental Protection Agency community grant for the potable water storage tank rehabilitation project at the current water treatment plant to change the project purpose from rehabilitation to new construction.
Move for approval. Moved and seconded. Ms. Aiken.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The city was appropriated an award of $5 million for a community EPA grant through Congressman Fleischman's office for fiscal year '24 to rehabilitate 2 water storage reservoirs located within the Y-12 campus at the existing water treatment plant. Based upon an engineering assessment completed by CTI engineers, the city has requested a technical correction to this grant to ensure reliable water storage capacity, compliance with current regulatory standards, and provide long-term sustainability for our community's drinking water system. This technical correction would allow the city to construct a new 2 million-gallon water storage tank near the existing water treatment plant on the Y-12 campus. Due to structural deficiencies, safety concerns, and the cost-effectiveness of rehabilitation to the existing reservoirs, the city manager, through the Public Works Department, has requested a technical correction to the project purpose through the EPA. This technical correction will take several months for the EPA to review the city's proposal and approve the change in scope. CTI engineers evaluated the existing reservoir rehabilitation project according to the original EPA grant awarded in fiscal year '24. The cost to replace the existing floating cover and liners, along with upgrades to the original valves and piping system over a 50-year lifespan, was going to be $9.1 million. Building a new water storage tank in a similar location in comparison would only be $8 million. This option also allows the city to utilize the 4 million gallon capacity of water storage up on the Y-12 campus during construction of the new water tank. This item was presented to Budget and Finance and favorably received. The city has also notified Congressman Fleischman's office of our request for a change.
Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yes, I'd appreciate it if you explain what we're getting in this. We're replacing, instead of rehabilitating a 4 million gallon reservoir, we're building a new 2 million gallon reservoir, which is going to cost less, and it's my understanding that we'll still have the kind of capacity we were hoping for.
That is correct. So the existing reservoirs were built when the original plant was constructed. And so when you look at the original design, it was built with piles and concrete structural walls, but the bottom and top are made out of a liner system, and they degrade quickly with the sun and UV exposure. And so it's one of those that we're having to do upgrades and replacement every 5 to 10 years, which gets costly. And it's hard for any engineering firm to approve structurally the condition of the existing concrete. And so this, changing it from rehabilitation to a new structure would allow us to start from scratch. So we basically would be able to build a brand new tank, which the lifespan would last well over the 50 years as planned.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Ms. Atkin? Let the record show that Councilman Hammond has returned. Councilman Hammond, I suggest you probably reserve your vote on this one since you haven't heard the. Okay. All right. No, none required. Thank you. We're on the board. Motion is to approve.
Six ayes, no nos.
And the resolution is approved. Next item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving the purchase of the OpenGov core procurement and contracts bundle software through their third-party vendor, Vertosoft, and associated contracts for a 3-year term in the amount of $148,592.83.
Second. Moved and seconded. Ms. Bates?
Good evening, Council. So what we're bringing forth is a contract for software with OpenGov, and what it does is it provides us with two things and fills gaps that we don't have currently. Tag teaming this with Ms. Rackard. So the first portion is contracts, which is what she's looking for. The second part is procurement, which is what I'm looking for. And what it does is it fills that gap and provides a cohesive path from contracts into procurement, which is something we don't currently have. In our current system, it streamlines and it both automates the things as well, because right now we don't have any kind of software that allows our bidders to go online, enter their information, request information on bid openings that are upcoming, and this will fill that gap for that process. It allows the vendors to do everything themselves instead of us having to constantly reach out to them and do things. They can upload it to a portal, and it allows them to register themselves for any bid openings that we may have based on whatever rubrics we set up with the system. So they can say, I want to open bids for concrete or for asphalt, and they can get notifications that are automated anytime we enter those things into the system. Ms. Rackard, you want to talk about contracts?
Sure. So this software system, it does integrate with the procurement system like Ms. Bates said. It does provide for an improved tracking of our contract status. Right now, we just keep track of it in an Excel spreadsheet. So this will be nice to have. It does milestone tracking. It provides audit trails. It's going to do automated insurance management. It's going to provide us with DocuSign e-signatures, which I'm super excited for. It's going to allow us to have quicker turnaround times. It's also going to do a self-service vendor document upload system for those vendors who are comfortable doing that. Very excited for that process as well. And it's also going to give us automatic alerts, both internally and externally, but across our departments as well. So when we're waiting for something from another department, for them to send something, we're going to be able to do those automatic alerts and automatic emails that we're waiting on something. We're super excited. So I'm really looking forward to it. Cannot say I'm excited enough about this software system.
The one thing that I didn't mention that it's also going to do is it's going to really widen our reach when it comes to bids, because it's not only going to give us access to say, hey, this is available online, but it's going to give us access to all the people that are currently registered with OpenGov itself. They're going to be pushed a notification saying, hey, Oak Ridge is now online, go ahead and apply for their thing. So it's going to give us a much wider reach than we currently have.
Great, good. Questions for Ms. Bates, or Ms. Rackard?
Just one.
Mr. Gleason.
Yes, sir, thank you. Carrie, are there additional modules that you would want to implement?
There are a lot of modules. I don't think we're at a point where we're ready to implement these. So we're going to see how it goes piece by piece.
Okay, that sounds good. And then just for Ms. Rackard, is there like COI tracking, compliance tracking? Is that all part of their software?
Yes. Yes.
That's pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
I'm excited.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
3 times. Mr. Hope.
Carrie or Tammy, does this work and is compatible to our Grandis system? Does it work outside of it separately?
It would operate independently from the current system.
And we don't have any merge factor or?
We could have a merge factor if we chose to do that, but I don't think we're at a point where we're going to do that anytime soon.
Start with this and then see what happens?
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, motion is to approve, and we're on the board.
Seven ayes, 0 noes.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you, Ms. Bates. Ms. Rackard. Next item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with Design Innovation Architects, Knoxville, Tennessee, for natural resource and recreation improvements at Solway Park in an amount not to exceed $419,980. Said project funded in part by a Natural Resource Damages Assessment NRDA grant.
Move to approve.
Moving to second. Mr. Hedrick? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Go right ahead.
How are you, Mayor and Council? As mentioned, the resolution is to approve a design contract with DIA Architects for the NRDA grant-funded project at Solway Park in the amount of $419,000, not to exceed that. The amount includes the DIA proposal cost of $381,800 with a 10% contingency to address any unforeseen, circumstances. This expense has been included in an approved budget of FY27 capital improvement program. The architect firm, DIA, previously went through an RFQ process for an on-call design services for the city and was selected for this project. TDEC reviewed that selection and accepted the procurement process. For a little background on the NRDA grant, the grant program was created as part of the Oak Ridge Reservation Natural Resource Damage Assessment. The approved grant project budget is $3,200,000, which will include a grant funding of approximately $2,600,000, which is 80%, with a matching of city funds of $650,000, which is the 20%. One of the projects selected for the award was the Solway project. This grant will be administered by TDEC in strict accordance with the terms of a grant contract between TDEC and the city of Oak Ridge. The timeline for this design phase would be approximately 8 to 10 months, and the plan is to take to council on the bid in the fall of 2027. Some of the different projects that will relate to this grant and the contracts, both parking lots in accordance with environmental standards of East and the West Solway, the boat ramp in the west, the boat dock in the west, new kayak launch with ADA accessibility in the West Solway. The east will have the Solway fishing pier updated and the removal of invasive species, which is very important to this project, in both of them as well. Lastly, to be noted is that this item was presented to Budget and Finance Committee and was received favorably. I also have Brad Salisbury with DIA in the audience if you have any technical questions, and I'd be happy to try to answer any of those as well.
Any questions? Mr. Hensley?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers, I drive by Solway Park a lot, and I see the vegetation that's growing in the water. Is that milfoil? Is that what that is primarily?
That would be a better question for our
How do you get-
horticulturist.
What are they going to do to get rid of it? Because it's, it's the whole Melton Lake is contaminated.
Yeah, for the Solway project, they'll cut that back and do the proper, mitigation to it and stuff.
TVA used to spray for the stuff, and it was effective. I assume that was too much of an environmental insult, so they had to stop.
Yeah.
But it's really degrading our lake a lot.
Other questions? Seeing none, the motion is to approve.
Seven ayes, no nos.
And the resolution is approved. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing bids in an amount not to exceed $1,386,500 for the annual order of various materials as required by the city during fiscal year 2027.
Move for approval with second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Bates?
So we issued 5 invitations to bid technically for stone, asphalt, concrete, and hot mix. Multiple stone products. We issued the invitation to bid to be closed on July 8th. We have received respondents for all of them. There is one that's been called into question for the stone at CSC, so the items that you're in your packet currently are not the most current abstracts that have been received. You want to?
Sure, yeah, Mayor and Council, just wanted to kind of, since this was a bit so late, there was one respondent that was determined non-responsive because we have a clear requirement that they meet the material requirements that TDOT has, and they were not listed on TDOT's website. Around 4 o'clock this afternoon, they did get up on TDOT's website, but we haven't confirmed whether they were actually an approved provider at the day that the bids came in. So we would kind of recommend that you move forward with this. They're still within their protest period, so if they want to protest that, they can come back to us and say, why they think they should have been determined to be responsive, but until we have additional information, that would be difficult to do. It really only is in regards to the stone project for CSC. That was the only part of this that they were the lowest bidder on, but we want to move forward with this and get this in place. But certainly, we want to be fair to the companies as well. So if they can make the case that they were actually responsive to the bid, then we would take that into consideration, bring it back to council as an amendment.
Ms. Pesmer, which one is this now?
So this would be the stone products for the Central Services Complex. So because they were not listed in TDOT's website, they were determined to be non-responsive as we put that together. But we would be willing to reconsider that with additional information as that comes in.
All right, what motion do we need to make then in terms of the total amount that we're approving?
Well, I think at this point, we would just recommend that you move forward with the resolution as it is.
Oh, okay.
And then if they do protest it, then we will go through the process of considering that and bring back an amended resolution at some future date if that was successful.
All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. Motion is to approve.
Seven ayes, no nos.
And the resolution is approved. Next item of business is appearance of citizens. I believe that concludes the, yes, okay. Appearance of citizens shall be permitted to address city council about matters that are not on the formal agenda. Any citizen wishing to do so will raise your hand, proceed to the public lectern, and after recognition, state your name, your full address, and the purpose of your appearance before council. Comments will be limited, to 3 minutes and shall relate to matters of city business. They shall not generally result in a formal response or action at the time of this presentation because in most cases, neither the council nor the staff will be prepared to respond effectively. However, I may answer the questions or direct the city manager to do so, or to have the city manager may be requested to work with the citizen to effect resolution of the matter. Statements that are purely political in nature will not be allowed, such as campaign speeches or announcements of candidacy for office, nor will announcements of civic or social event that is unrelated to city business. Are there any members of the audience that wish to address council? All right, I'll start on my left. Yes, ma'am. No, you got to come to the lectern.
I'm going to do most of the talking. So we are.
You've got to state your name and address, please.
Thank
ma'am.
you. I didn't hear that part. My name is Julie Hardy, and this is Annika Hardy.
Okay.
And we live at 8 Rivers Run Way in Oak Ridge. We are opening a lemonade slushy stand this summer, and we want to stay above board. So we did research about the Tennessee Food Freedom Act. And then your amendment came on our radar that you were requiring a home occupation permit. I think I'm using the right terminology. We just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to overlay the Tennessee Food Freedom Act. We hope to make more than $3,000, right? So we hope to make more than $3,000 so we can pay taxes. So we would get a business license at that stage. But we wanted to see if this was going to, if this permit, at what point did it become necessary? When you were at a farmer's market doing a delivery, or would somebody need to come to your home?
Ms.
What's
Rackford?
the fee? That's not a clear number available online. You need to do a phone call. And is there a renewal process? Is it an objective? Yes, no, you get the permit if you fill out paper? So we had some questions we didn't know.
It would probably
We
be,
support what you're doing, but we don't plan to have a stand at our home.
it would probably be best for you to meet with our planning director and talk about that.
Ms. Williams, okay.
That's okay,
We
Ms.
also just
Williams?
wanted to come see what you guys did, so thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Did you like this? Yeah. Say thank you. Okay.
We
Thank you so much.
look forward to getting some of your lemonade. Not free, you're going to pay for it, Hensley. All right, there was one, over to the right. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Martin McBride, 954 West Outer Drive in Oak Ridge. I'd like to talk tonight again about the opportunity to receive or procure about $200 million in DOE school aid over the next, say, 20 years. This is something that's been going on in Los Alamos County in New Mexico with Los Alamos County Schools for about 2 decades. I wanted to make a couple of points tonight. One of which is my ultimate thought here is about the nuclear industry and about the property owners that surround all these nuclear plants across the country. For years now, there's been a concern about property values next to these major facilities. And I think that there's no particular reason why there should be a concern if, in fact, DOE faces the issue and recognizes the importance of these host communities, starting with this host community right here. And so school aid is one low-hanging fruit that would help get that conversation started. And that's important for the entire country. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but over the last 25 years, say, we've actually shrunk in terms of the number of nuclear energy sites in this country. And a lot of that has to do with people shutting down nuclear plants because of concerns over local property values. Things that DOE can solve, and it's not that expensive, but they need to face the issue. School aid does not directly affect this, but school aid has a couple of advantages in our case because it affects a Manhattan Project secret city like Los Alamos. That means that politically, DOE has a stopgap that says it doesn't have to apply this fix to any more than 2 or possibly 3 cities, since there were only 3 secret cities in the Manhattan Project. Now, in my opinion, they should do it a lot more broadly, but if they want to, they can limit it down to just 2 or 3. And that's a very powerful argument. So what we need to do is have our powerful congressional team, is very pro-nuclear, get the ear of the Secretary of Energy, and then make the pitch for a parallel arrangement similar to what Los Alamos does in the interest of our national nuclear expansion. We need to disperse our nuclear sites. We need more communities stepping up and saying, yeah, let's have a big nuclear site in our town. We understand the advantages to the country and to us to do that. So anyway, that's the point I wanted to make tonight, that there are very good reasons politically to go with school aid, and the clock is ticking. It's a great time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McBride.
Can I make a comment?
Mr. Hensley.
Yeah, Councilman Hope, I would think that's something that the Energy Communities Alliance could get on their radar. Because if one of the communities is getting more an unfair distribution, I think they ought to consider spreading that out some.
It's on the ECA agenda as one of the goals and objectives for us to look at this year.
Thank you.
And if I may add, it's also on the National League of Cities tentative agenda for the year related to some sort of an aid program for communities impacted by energy, broadly speaking, not narrowly Manhattan Project communities. But it's something Amy Fitzgerald has been working with some of her counterparts on that from other cities too.
In a related comment, I've asked the city manager to try to upgrade our staff so we have people on staff that can talk NRC language. And you've told me that you've got candidates out there that you're considering.
Okay, thank you. All right, any elections, appointment, and what? Oh, sorry, ma'am. Yes.
Mitchell, and I'm a resident of Oak Ridge, 114 and 116 Spelman Avenue of the Scarborough Gamble Valley community. So I'm here today to speak on instances that has occurred in Scarborough Constant. I'm just wanting to express my concern about the ongoing over-policing in the community during after the Juneteenth celebration and July 4th celebrations. The police presence in our neighborhood often feels excessive and targeted, as if our community is being treated differently from others. There is no violence or reckless behavior happening in our community that would justify this level of enforcement, and we are asking that the over-policing stop immediately. Our community is not the same as it used to be, but it remains a historic community with deep roots and strong sense of unity. Where there is one, we all will gather. That is part of what has made Scarborough Gamble Valley a historical community for many, many, many years. As long as I have been living, and I'm 51 years old, it is painful to feel as though these traditions and gatherings are being discouraged instead of respected. We also cannot ignore the fact that the fireworks celebrations happen in our neighborhoods and subdivisions, yet there is not the same level of extra policing there. It often feels that though the entire police force is placed in our community while other areas are left alone. enough is enough. And I respectfully ask that the city council to review this issue and take immediate action to stop the over-policing in our community. And we deserve fair treatment, respect, and the freedom to gather as a community without being treated as a problem. Please understand that my request and our request is simple. Stop the over-policing and allow Scarborough to remain the historic, united community it has been for many, many years. Thank you for your time and attention of this matter, and I look forward to your response soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I got one. Just,
Mr. Hammond.
yeah, one, thank you for taking the time to come out. There's a couple things I do want to lift up as well in that particular space. One, you see her, but there were several people that also reached out to me and expressed that concern. Not only did they reach out to me legitimately, they also came after me on Facebook. And so, which is fine. I always tell them, hey, you speak your voice, whichever way that go, I just have to deal with that. And so I just wanted to validate just the extent of the concern that was expressed. I also want to certainly acknowledge Mr. Heeman, Chief, a couple folk, because I did sit with them to sort of express that concern and get some understanding of what that was. They talked about strategy, shared a few details of the approach, but I did share with them, and I share very publicly that I still left with concerns about this particular incident, and that I'd be following up with some further conversation on that. The over-policing in that space is much more significant, and sometimes the extent of the trauma that can be caused by that can be lost in translation. I think the other thing that magnifies that kind of space is that there's over-policing and under-policing that can happen at the exact same time. And what I mean by that is last year we had the shooting incident that people were looking for answers to and was looking for responses to. And so when the policing is needed for answers, there are no answers to be given, and I'm still not sure what happened over a year ago. So it's the over-policing of small things and under-policing of the major things that's part of a much, much bigger psychological problem, I guess, if you will. No, it's experiential, but it has a psychological impact. And so I just wanted to take a moment to validate sort of what she was sharing and thank the council for your support of those efforts, but then also make it very clear that we do look to have some ongoing conversations about that.
Chief Smith, would you like to make any comments? Okay. Mr. Tim?
I will just say that we had a good and frank conversation, and, you know, our response on the 4th is actually the number of officers has been diminishing somewhat, but we certainly understand the concerns of the community and want to hear from the community, and we'll have more conversation.
All right. Other comments from the citizens? All right. All right, Mr. Heeman, your manager's report.
Yes, sir. Just a few things. I do want to point out, if you look on those two upper right-hand pictures, our whole leadership team had a workshop, and I want to thank Amy Fitzgerald for putting this together with TDEC so that we have an understanding of everything that TDEC is doing from a regulatory standpoint, and TDEC understands many of the things that we're working on as well. So we spent, I guess, about 3 or so hours out there. I thought it was a really good meeting and appreciated that conversation. And I will just say it's the beginning of a conversation. There will be a whole lot more interaction between staff and TDEC from that. Want to say congratulations to Chief Smith for being appointed to the Tennessee Safe Initiative Task Force this year. That's quite an honor. There are only 7 chiefs selected throughout the state, so we appreciate him serving in that role. The Recreation Center and Scarborough Center will be closed Monday, the 27th through July 31st for staff training and building maintenance. This is something that we do on a regular basis. Oh, wow, you got the picture in there. So I received this from Tom just late this afternoon that we've got 8 new pickleball courts. We thought you might want to see that. So thanks to John and Seth and our folks for making that happen in a timely manner. And I will add that this, there are more pickleball courts that were funded this year that will be on the way, so there'll be another 6. So we're going to go from being, low on pickleball court numbers to actually above average here in a short period of time. We've got several streets that are getting paving. People will probably notice Providence Road, Robertsville Road. I've had some citizens say thank you already for that. North and South Walker Lane, Fairbanks, Hillside, Purdue, Coalyard Road, and Manhattan Avenue. So a lot of paving going on, and there'll be temporary striping put down soon on those as well. Our water system is doing their annual flushing program. So over the next 6 to 8 weeks, that'll be performed in a variety of places, and that helps us maintain the high quality that we have in our water system. The Disability Advisory Board is going to have 2 community town hall meetings. These can be attended in person at the conference center or via Zoom. Those will be on July 28th and the 30th from 6 to 7:30. I know Kendall and I from the manager's office will be at the first meeting. So if you've got any concerns that anybody would like to bring up related to those issues related to accessibility, we would love to hear from you. Also want to say we're accepting Youth Advisory Board applications right now, and as well as student representatives for the EQUAB Board and the Traffic Safety Advisory Board. So those are online starting July 24th. Our property tax statements are going to arrive in mailboxes this month, and we encourage those folks, if for some reason they do not get one, to call us and find out where that is. I know people won't be too excited if they don't get it to do that, but we feel obliged to encourage that. Property owners will have till August 31st to pay those taxes without interest or penalty, and those can be made online or in person at the UBO. We have a number of new employees, record specialists in the police department, Stacy, electric line technician, Joshua Moore, got a couple of firefighters, Elias Phipps, and Ryan Siddle, Will Huff, another trainee, and Gregory Fisher is firefighter 2 EMT. We've got several interns. You met Ainsley earlier, and I think that Caitlin Breen is also here, and I think Andrew Gerlach was here as well. Aubrey Conger was here earlier with us. It's in the manager's office. Case Williams in the electric department, and then Richard Trexler. So with that, I'll give this list of new city employees, and those are mainly summer recreation leaders and summer lifeguards. And with that, I'll be happy to take questions.
Questions for the manager, Mr. Hensley?
I had the opportunity to walk around at the preserve last week, knocking on doors with a friend of mine who lives out there, and I talked to about 8 people, and 3 of them spontaneously asked about the dead windmills across the river at Carbon Rivers. Is there any update on what's going on there from the city?
Yes, I can say that they're still monitoring, and the report from the company there says that they're meeting their mark, but I know that that is going to be tested by the state and to trust but verify, I shall say. So understanding that some things have been starting to be removed, so.
Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, I was honored to be able to represent the city of Oak Ridge. Recently, we did a presentation on the new Arts, Culture, and History Alliance Advisory Board. Appreciate everything that Beth Hickman did to help establish that, and also appreciate everything that the Chamber of Commerce and the AMSI organization did to host that. So thank you all.
Mr. Hammond.
I just want to take a moment to, thank you in the report. Overall, across several months now at this point, I've appreciated, I just had not said anything until tonight, but I appreciate you for the way you highlight the successes and the accomplishments of city staff. I really appreciate that. It's good to see. In particular, for tonight, as I was looking at that and coming off of the report and the comments that I just made, touched on this a little bit on Sunday, where particularly I, but in many ways we, have the gift of sitting at a powerful intersection. And in just this moment, as I was looking, I want to publicly at least sort of acknowledge or lift up the police chief in being selected for the Tennessee Safe Task Force in one of 7. Being at an intersection as the one that we are in many different ways is both a tremendous gift and it brings tremendous challenges, but I think it's one we're equipped for. In particular, the gift of having one of the most proud historic African-American communities in the country, while at the same time having one of the best police chiefs in the country. And so the challenges that have been lifted up, I think we're well equipped to handle. And I want to thank you for lifting that up, because the chief is humble, so he doesn't say those kind of things. I would never, we talk, and I never would have known that. And so thank you for lifting that up. But for me to you, I know there are all kinds of difficult conversations that we have in, but I want to acknowledge you as certainly one of the best chiefs in the nation. And God bless you. I'm proud to partner with you on navigating the path that we have before us, my friend.
Ms. Smith.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity I had to attend the National League of Cities Summer Leadership Meeting in Louisville, Kentucky last week. And just want to share a couple of interesting tidbits I got from it. State of Kentucky and Louisville showed themselves off a great deal to us. And one of the things we heard about their nuclear technology program, which is likely to be a partner to what we're doing here, but they're not nearly as far along as Tennessee is. And one of the things they showed off was their water treatment plant, which is interesting given our new water treatment plant. And Louisville's water treatment plant is regarded basically as a tourist attraction. It's an historic site. Been there since, you know, they invented the kind of conventional treatment technology that's used in our existing plant. And they have a water tower that's a local landmark. But they even have a pump that is still using a steam engine to run it, which is interesting in contrast to what we're doing here, because they require an awful lot of land to treat their water in sand filters, and that's something we're going to be avoiding to a great degree with our new treatment facility. But I thought that was really interesting. They were showing off their water treatment plant, and they say they have the best tasting water in the world, but we can, you know, consider that, take that as you will. And they also showed off an urban forestry program that I'm jealous of, because it works very well, because they have a nonprofit with very deep pockets that's supporting a lot of things in the city that would be hard to do otherwise. I learned that just in interacting with other people, that other cities are also complaining that they have a CSX rail line that's supposed to be going into a rail-to-trail situation, and CSX is dragging its feet on communicating about what they're going to do, whether they're going to support things. CSX doesn't answer the phone. So we have Misery Loves Company, and CSX apparently has a cadre of communities that are affected the same way, pretty much the same way we are. One thing I brought home with me to share with the staff, I'll leave it behind with you all, is State of the Cities report by the National League of Cities. And they do an annual survey of mayors and community residents and stuff and talk about trends around the country. And one thing that caught my eye in this was something on the methods that cities use to communicate with their citizens. And they indicated that both mayors and residents identified social media as the #1 way they communicate. But the mayors also thought that public meetings were really useful, public meetings, and residents apparently didn't consider that important. That social media is where it's at. So we've got some challenges ahead of us, but I thought that our staff would be interested in that little piece of information, because that was one that really stood out to me, that it's we've got some challenges ahead in communication, but there's other things I'll share when I get them, but appreciate the opportunity. So.
Thank you. Anything else? Come. Seeing none, I want to thank everyone for your attendance and participation tonight, and we are adjourned.